is there anything out there that you can think of in your life that you purchase that can be given to you at full price, missing all of the features, and we accept it? Like I'm being very open-minded around the state of video games in 2023, and I seriously have been thinking most of the day about things I consume and purchase where I'm expected to pay full price and be given a product that is not what was advertised.
Uh,
I've eaten at a number of Taco Bells, so yes. Where I come home, I open my bag, I'm like, this isn't what I ordered, and they're like, I don't know, it's beef, lettuce,
It's close
cheese,
enough.
and a bread of some
Sure.
sort. Get fucked.
It's most of the ingredients.
I've really been struggling with that. Like I think that we've almost allowed this to be kind of the norm in an area where other parts of life, like I just wonder how that would fly.
You're saying that we need the Nintendo seal of quality on everything.
I mean, I've
Yeah,
played
I mean-
Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. They certainly did not put it on everything.
So this isn't exactly the same thing, but Ford sold the Pinto knowing that it had a defect with the fuel tank that when struck the right way would cause it to explode. And they had even calculated that it would just be cheaper just to pay for the lawsuits that would inevitably come from this than to
Sure.
put a small piece of plastic that would fix it on every Pinto that they sold.
That's fucked up.
It is fucked up.
That's capitalism, baby.
It is. I mean, it's not. I know you said it, but it's not exactly the answer Bobby's looking for. In that, I don't think there were people out there. I mean, if you buy a Pinto now, knowing that, then yes, absolutely,
Yeah.
I'm not saying
Make
you
sure-
deserve it, but
Make sure it's had that piece.
Is there anything
Yeah.
else that you're buying that requires the equivalent of a day one patch? Like you could argue that you have to assemble something from IKEA, but
I used to have to plug my new phone into a computer to get it to activate.
Yeah.
It wouldn't work unless I did that. I could buy an old iPhone that still requires that and just not be able to use it at all because
I mean, if you're telling me the video games are bad, I'm here
Yeah.
to.
Video games are bad.
I'm with you.
Yeah,
I'm with
it's an
you.
interesting place that we found ourselves. Well, because things used to ship like on a disc or on a cartridge, and I'm sure if companies could have gotten away with doing that back then, they would have. But-
I've got an answer for you. Star Wars movies. What?
Hey,
I go into every Star Wars movie going, I know this isn't going to really be complete. It's going to be missing things that definitely need to be a part of it, but I guess I'm going to see it anyway.
Or maybe bringing back things that they should have just left alone after 40 years. But
I just feel like I mean, I buy a lot of shit from like a consumer standpoint, and I'm trying to think about all the things. Food is the only one. Chase, you jokingly talked about Taco Bell. That's the one that I did come to on. Like, yeah, I've gotten the wrong item. I asked for the substitute. I asked for no onions or whatever, and like I ended up getting a lot of them. And those are things that like came to mind for sure. But I'm trying to think of
but that's like 5 minutes of your time and a few bucks. This is like potentially hours of entertainment for $70, and like it's a hard no, Bobby. The answer is no. There isn't anything like that.
That's what I thought.
Except for video games. I mean,
video games suck.
Can't. Yeah, you can't. Wouldn't it be funny if they put out like an episode of a TV show and then they released an updated version of that same episode next week? Oh, this is 1.1. We changed these 2 bits of dialogue and the story goes just a little bit differently this time.
I mean, I thought Magic the Gathering Cascade seems a little broken. I don't know if that was something they can patch or if they should have put that in there. Seems like a bug.
It's slightly adjacent to video games, but I mean, there's all sorts of Kickstarters out there and Indiegogos and things of like, hey, I'm putting my money up and I hope you deliver me the thing that you're going to deliver. And sometimes it's just not that.
No, it's just weird. I don't know. We're going to talk a little bit about with some of the games that we'll get to. This is Casual Hour. I'm Bobby, Chase, and Johnny here. How are you two doing?
Doing all right.
It's episode 323. It's our May games preview. Chase has put together a very fun back half of the show. This is May 3rd, so we're a couple days in. We got some
stream. Sorry, is the stream working for you guys? I'm getting a lot of lag on my end. I just want to make sure
it's finally loaded.
Okay.
It's very delayed.
Oh, really?
Okay.
Am I delayed to you guys? Like right now, are we all good
No.
talking to one
No,
another?
like Discord's
We're good now.
for us.
It's Twitch is
okay.
like spinning a lot.
Oh yeah, I mean it looks like it's frozen. Anyway, you know, it still says it's going. I think it's going. I think we're good.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think we're good.
So this is our May episode. It's May 3rd. We're going to be telling you about some games that we've been playing. The games of
May
April.
the 3rd be with you.
May the 3rd. Revenge of May the 3rd.
Never not funny. Stop.
So we're going to get into those things. And to kick us off, every week we go to Chase Kinnicky. Chase, what have you been playing, my friend?
I finished a game and I'm finished with a game. Those are two different things.
Yeah. Go on.
On one hand, I finished Advance Wars 1.
Okay.
So I finished half of Advance Wars 1+2 Reboot Camp, and had a good time. That's still a great game. I look forward. I mean, I already started Advance Wars 2. I'm a few missions in. I also like Advance Wars 2. I can't wait to get to those Neo tanks. But Advance Wars 1, really good game.
Still very good game.
I don't know what else to tell you. We've talked about it for a few weeks now, so there's really not that much to tell. But I like that game. I really like that final mission. I guess a small spoiler for people and for you guys here, but you get to pick 3 COs. One of them is Andy, who's kind of the main character. But then you get to pick 2 of basically any of the other COs that you've come into contact with, and
cool.
It's pretty neat to just go in and be like, okay, well, I want this guy for his extra range, I want this guy for his extra power, I want that guy because he can use the flying units, and you actually take all 3 turns individually, and then the bad guy goes. So you kind of play this single player co-op mode, and I think that's a cool final mission.
Like a lot of fun.
Yeah, that sounds really neat.
A lot of fun. Yeah, to get some cool combos in there. So Advance Wars, still really good. Look forward to continuing to play 2. And then I'm finished with Echo Chrome, which isn't to say that it's a bad game. I think it has some issues to it. I think it's a little fiddly in the way that it plays. I talked about it a little bit last week, so I don't need to get too far into it. But I did my writing for that as well. So you can go to gamersonthego.com right now. You can read my thoughts kind of on Echo Chrome. I spend a lot of the review talking about like the menus and how the game portrays and presents itself, because I think a lot of that stuff is really interesting. It's not, when you go into that game, it doesn't do the things that you expect it to do exactly. It has weird names for all of its menu options. It doesn't function like a puzzle game that you'd expect it to be. The actual puzzle game part itself, I think is pretty solid. It has a few things that feel a little fiddly. I did a little bit more research. This isn't in the review part, but I did a little bit more research on the spin-off and sequel to Echo Chrome. I didn't even realize it had a spin-off and a sequel, but there is Echo Shift, which is kind of a it's also a PSP game. It's kind of like Super Time Force. Did you ever play Super Time Force? There's also an FPS game that was like this, where basically you did a thing and then you go back to the beginning, and a time clone of you goes and does that thing that you just did, because it kind of recorded your behavior, and now you get to play it again knowing that thing is going to do the things it does. So in a game like Super Time Force, you can have one guy just run up and shoot a bunch of stuff on the upper part of the screen because it's a side-scrolling shooter, and then when you die or whatever, you go back to the beginning of that level, and now this clone of you is going up and shooting all this stuff, so you don't have to worry about shooting this stuff up at the top. Or you can even make sure that you go kill the thing that killed your guy, and now that you have this extra guy running around with you the rest of the game. And so Echo Shift does a similar kind of thing where, okay, you need to get to this goal by this time limit, but there are all these kind of puzzle keys to open doors, switches that you need to stand on, that kind of shit.
Damn.
So you can send your clone, or you do this the first time where, okay, I'm standing on this switch now, and then when you go back, now your guy is standing on that switch, so then you can move on to the next part of the puzzle and do that part, and then kind of
or Swapper.
Swapper. That's what I was thinking of. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Did you ever play that, Chase?
Oh, I did. Yeah, I finished the Swapper. Yeah, it's similar in that instance. Yeah,
that's a cool game. Swapper's cool.
Yeah, I enjoyed Swapper. And then Echochrome 2 is a PS3 game that requires the PlayStation Move controller to use.
I was just reading about this game.
Effectively useless these days.
Can I share a quick fun fact about this?
Please, go for it.
The game's soundtrack holds the record for the longest piece of music ever composed for a video game at 1 hour, 15 minutes, and 7 seconds.
Yeah, the same song plays throughout the entire game. I think it's a cool idea in that you use the Move controller as like a flashlight, and the idea is that it's kind of like a mobile of just random bits in a room, and when you put the flashlight on it, you are actually playing the shadows behind it, on the wall behind the object. So depending on how you flash the flashlight, it changes the geometry of the stage and what you're jumping on and running through. I think it's a cool idea, but again, you have to use the PlayStation Move controllers on a PlayStation 3, and there's not a good way to emulate any of that shit right now. They definitely didn't bring any of that shit to PS4 and PS5. So unless you have the exact original hardware to play it on, get fucked.
Dude, remember motion controls?
Vaguely, yeah. Anyway, I think Echochrome's a really interesting thing. It was made by Japan Studio, which is dead now, unfortunately, but they made a lot of really cool things back in the day before they were not allowed to make their cool things anymore, which is sad. But Echochrome, pretty neat. That is a game you can emulate, and I think it works relatively well on emulation if you want to play it that way. I think you can download that on a PS4, maybe. Not 100% sure about that. I know you can do it on
like the PlayStation Next Store or whatever it is, like
something like
service.
That.
Yeah.
I mean, you can definitely play it on a Vita or a PlayStation TV. If you go pick up one of those things, speaking of dead fucking hardware,
yikes!
Go back and listen to our episode where I tell you all about the PlayStation TV. Mine's plugged in. It's been plugged in ever since that episode. I haven't turned it on since that episode, but it's been plugged in.
Right on.
So that's basically it. I mean, I'm still. It's Guardian Games now for Destiny, so I jumped in a little bit there.
The Destinies.
I still play Fire Emblem Heroes every once in a while. You know, the good stuff. I would like to play that Tron game sometime, the visual novel one by Bithell Studios. I've got that downloaded. I'm looking forward to playing it. But of course, we will have to spin the wheel tonight, so I will be playing something new to me very soon. But we'll spin that wheel later. Bobby, what have you been playing?
Been playing a bunch of new shit. I'm going to tell you about a game called Leia's. I think that's how you say it. Laya? Leia? I don't know how I would say that.
Leia?
I think Leia. Leia's Horizon. This is from our friends.
You have to stop playing games called Horizon, Bobby.
Yeah.
As soon as you stop playing games with robot in the title.
No deal.
Touche.
What I can tell you is that this is from Snowman. You might know them from Alto's Odyssey and Alto's Adventure.
Yeah.
This is a really interesting thing for me. This is a mobile game that is behind Netflix now. And this is very peculiar to me because, one, they've been very in cahoots, it would appear, with Apple on the iOS store. They were on Apple Arcade. I think they still are on Apple Arcade. But this is now, I think, the second or third developer that I've seen who had previously done work with Apple Arcade now be with Netflix. But I'm not here to tell you about that. This game came out on May 2nd. This is a really cool game. It is a 3D game from them, and it is exploring flight. And it has a similar tone to an Alto's game on some of the landscapes that you're seeing. But I find the controls for this equally mesmerizing as I do frustrating at the beginning of learning how to play this game. And you are controlling with your thumbs on a screen, obviously, because it's a mobile game. But you are moving your thumbs either in unison upwards to slow your person down. You're wearing a cape, and you have different capes you can unlock in the game. And if you push all the way up with your thumbs, your cape turns into a parachute and you almost stop mid-flight. If you pull your thumbs all the way down, you begin to dive bomb. If you only use one thumb...
if any other games have used a similar type of movement. That's interesting.
Yeah, I'm watching some video footage of it right now. This is...
I'm sorry for interrupting. It's a Super Mario World joke. That's...
What do you mean?
100% what that is. Super Mario World?
No, you don't use your hands to control the cape.
No, but your cape turns into a parachute and then you dive bomb. That's Super Mario World.
I see what
you're
you're
just
saying
doing
now.
With your hands now. Yeah.
So
it's like, I'm sorry, did I have a stroke? What happened?
No. I think the way that it came across was more around because I was talking about like the input, and I thought you were alluding to like that. But yes, it's 100% the Mario cape. So if you use one thumb,
it's a good thing to steal. Some of the best feeling game mechanic of all time.
So it's very much that. Like that is a very astute way of looking at it. Here's where I think it feels really good. So one finger is going to move it to just like a soft turn. But if you take your thumbs in a separate direction, so if you want to go right, you'll pull your right thumb down, you'll push your left thumb up, and you do this incredibly satisfying sharp turn. And it's got some great haptic feedback on it. But the first few missions I've done so far, I haven't played a ton of it. It just came out yesterday. It's pilot wings, say fly through this ring. You need to drop into this area. If you get really close and start to skim above the landscape, you collect shards and then you pull your thumbs together and you boost. And that's really cool because there are some races that you need to do. Other ones are more like, hey, hit all the checkpoints, land over there. You do land and then you can just pan around and kind of see where you want to go. And then you tap the screen with both fingers and you take off in flight. It is going to have more of just like an exploration thing. You're not going to have to do all these missions, and those you fly to. So you'll see a flag on the map and you'll fly to it. You'll land, talk to somebody, get a quest, and go and do it. I think it's really cool. These people make great video games. They always have found a way to make good use of the hardware that they're on. And it is a bit jarring to get used to, but there's a natural way of using your thumbs to turn that feels, if I push down, I go down. If I push up, I go up. I think that feels really good. Soundtrack's great, looks great. I don't love seeing that Netflix logo on it. I just think like let people buy this game because it's really, really cool. It's a really cool game.
You can get it for free.
What do you mean?
Netflix.
Oh, well, yeah, you're paying for it.
Yeah, I am lucky enough that my cell phone provider, the perk for them is free Netflix. So I pay my cell phone provider. I get Netflix for free. It works out well for me that way, but I can see, yes, a lot of people have Netflix. A lot of people have left Netflix. Is this worth going to? I think it's cool. There's a lot of, like, if you get a chance, I don't know if either one of you have done this, you should go and thumb through the library of games that Netflix. Massive. It's in, like, people do not understand. I just looked
at it, like, a week ago. Like, there's so many fucking games.
And it's just not like the standard Bejeweled clones or Farmville. It's like real, like fucking Into the Breach is on real,
there. Yeah, it's like, it has one of the best games of all time in it. It sounds great. What a deal. If that's the only place that game was available, I would probably have a Netflix subscription again.
Yeah, 100%. But Chase, I do think this one is maybe worth checking out. I know that you're not huge on mobile gaming. I know you like Alto's Adventure and Odyssey quite a bit.
Yeah.
This is a cool game. Also, I bet on that iPad mini of yours, it would be a ton of fun.
I bet so. It reminds me, just seeing some screenshots, like if you watch those YouTube videos of here's like somebody's GoPro of when they're using a wingsuit.
Yes.
And just like fucking buzzing around. Those are mesmerizing videos.
There was just like one more thing, because I could talk a little bit about the game feel of this quite a bit. So when you're first doing it, the tutorial is like you're falling through clouds, and they're basically like you got to get all these check marks filled up. One of them is okay, you need to go through all the rings. And as you're coming down in that view that you're talking about, the rings look to be like they're directly like beneath you. So you're just going to like kind of aim and fall, but they're actually perpendicular to you. So you need to go down and pull back really quick to go through it. And it is such a cool experience going through those rings because you're just like dive bombing, pulling back super quick and like throwing that parachute out and then going through the ring. It's really cool. I can't remember what publication wrote about it, but they said like the perils, anxiety, and joys of flying are fully realized in this game. And I thought that was a really cool way after playing it. Like, yeah, there's some neat stuff here. It's cool.
It does seem like a relatively natural progression from Altos.
Totally.
On one hand, Altos is a side-scrolling game. This is more of like a 3D or like a
yes.
I don't know. Yeah. Or like a tube kind of game, I guess, in some forms and fashions. But
a tube-like.
A tube-like game.
You know, a Tempest.
Yes.
I don't know. What do you want from me? But it also has a cape feature in it. Where you can fly and you can do loop-to-loops, and it is very natural and easy to use control-wise. So for them to make a game that is all about the cape and movement and flight, that sounds very cool.
Yep. You can customize the cape, and there's some other trinkets you can get to do, like, hey, you're gonna gain more coins and shit. So it's worth checking out for sure if you have that service. You should also check out, speaking of services, if you have Game Pass, there's a fantastic game on PC only right now called Cassette Beast. We have a quick look of that up right now. You can go and watch that on our YouTube channel. This has become quickly one of my favorite games of 2023. This is a creature collector, and rather than you raising and taming, you are fusing and recording, and you actually turn into the beast that you record on a Sony Walkman is what it looks like. This is doing some incredible quality of life things for the genre. And as I look back on what I've played recently, like these, I've played Temtem, Koromon, even a little bit of Ooblets, of course, Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. And I'm just continually impressed by what Chase shares with the Nuzlockes and some of these ROM hacks that he's checking out. And just for me, dipping my toes into the indie scene for these Pokemon likes, people are doing really fucking cool things in that space outside of Nintendo.
Way cooler than Game Freak's using.
Dude, I am so here for it.
Yeah.
Like, I haven't played a ROM hack, but like what Chase talks about, they sound cool as shit. And like even like the stuff with Koromon and Temtem, like they're not perfect, but what they do bring to the table is awesome. And what I love about this game, so this is my Byton Studios. It came out on April 26th. It is a $20 video game coming to consoles later on. We'll talk more about that here in a bit. They do some cool stuff with typing and type matching. So Johnny, if you were a fire type Pokemon and a water type Pokemon came up, you know that you're going to be at a disadvantage against it. But like in theory, if you put out a fire with water, there's usually going to be some smoldering. There could be ash. There could be mud left over. It was some sort of smoke or steam, and they play into those reactions in this game. So if there's a plastic type called recycled. If I hit recycled with a fire attack, it now becomes poison because I've burned the plastic with fire.
Melted the plastic.
Yes.
Okay.
And so when you're going against things, or even on your own team, they can completely change typing. And so they change colors when you do it. Like if they turn purple if it's poison based off of those colors that we've seen in the past. But it is duos also. So I really like that in Temtem. I really liked it in Pokemon when it would happen. And here, that little element, like I could even hit, maybe I have somebody that would turn to water, and I seen somebody who came out to the field that was a fire type. Well, I might just do a small low level attack on my character with my ability to make it a water type, and now I can save my ass out there with that. Like that's a really cool strategy to think about, and that's some cool, to me, elements on making a good use of having the duos. It's also a co-op game, so somebody could take over and play the other person that you're with. And that's where some of the other cool things about Cassette Beast come into play. The Persona social links are there. And Chase, I mentioned on our quick look that I didn't think there was a romance option, but you can absolutely, once you level up all the way, have a romantic partner. And I leveled up all the way, and I got a special ability whenever I would fuse with them. If they were out there on the battlefield with me, I have an attack that does like 250 damage now because I leveled them up all the way. So that's a really cool thing. But the story beats are there. There's some really great puzzle solving in the world, like you're looking for levers to do stuff. Our quick look goes into depth about this, but I've played this on my Steam Deck primarily, and I'm just having such a great time with it. I can't say enough good things about it. They've done a great job with it.
Yeah, I mean, I really like a lot of what it's doing. I think it's got some cool ideas to it. I like a lot of the monster designs. That's one of the things I feel like we always come into sticking points of, you know, as dog shit as the modern Pokemon games can be. I think they're still relatively good at making new monsters. You know, they've certainly had some misses.
No.
I know it's tough to swallow that pill, but other games like we've seen with Temtem or Coromon or Ooblets, I think you have a handful of really cool guys and then like a bunch of generic-y looking dudes. And I didn't see enough to really make a judgment one way or the other on Cassette Beasts. I think some of the ones I saw were really cool. I really like that little crab thing that's also a cone. Traffic crab. That's what.
Yep.
Yeah. Right.
Traffic crab.
It's called what it looks like. Perfect. And then that what was his name? The fish in the mech.
Pond Walker.
Yes, Pond Walker.
There's a shark in a mech tank. So it looked like a deep sea diver, but it was a shark in it. It was like a mech. It was awesome.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
I found last night, Chase. I found a rockabilly rooster. He just walks around with a cigarette and a leather jacket. He's pretty fucking good.
Sure. Nice. I mean, there's one of the new Pokemon from Scarlet and Violet is also basically that. I forgot what it's called. It's called Rocka something.
Yeah.
Squawkabilly. That's what it's fucking called.
Yeah.
Which is also quite good. I think the game, outside of the creatures and the monster battling part, looks a little ugly. Or it looks a little plain, I guess.
Yeah.
And that's not a terrible thing. It's something that you can. It's got very clear visual information to it. I like the way that the HM style thing works, where they're just kind of abilities that you get as a player. Yep. I've seen some Pokemon ROM hacks do similar things, so it's nice to see those in here. And then Pokemon kind of evolved to have some of those features, and then kind of got rid of those features entirely with the bike Pokemon stuff. But I think there's a lot of cool stuff to like in there. Like Bobby said, we are going to be talking about it later in the show. It is coming to consoles later in this month of May, and that's probably when I'll start checking it out for myself.
The one other thing, Johnny, that I will call out is, you know, those websites where it's like, hey, you can mix any two Pokemon together, and they give you like what it would be. Every single one of these, there's 120 monsters, and every monster can fuse with another monster to have a whole new look.
I was reading about that.
Including itself, which is one of the like on one hand dumbest, but on the other hand, like a lot of the times they actually do unique and interesting things with it, which is kind of cool.
Yep. So that's Cassette Beast. It's currently on PC only. It is on Game Pass. I believe it will be going to the Xbox family of consoles on Game Pass as well. If you have a Switch, I would recommend playing it there. I think a handheld version of this is a great way to go. It just feels right.
That, guys, Bobby loves the Switch.
He does.
Yes, I do.
It's the best place to play.
He's going to be loving it
no matter what Sony says
over the next few weeks.
I've been playing one other game, but I will let Johnny take the lead there. And that is it. So I've been checking out Leia's Horizon on Netflix, and I've been checking out one other game, but I've been checking out Cassette Beast quite a bit.
Is it Star Wars Jedi Survivor?
It is Star Wars
sequel to 2019's Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order.
That'd be the one.
This game, to borrow the parlance of our times, this game fucking slaps. Is that still the cool kids still saying that?
I don't think the cool kids say that, but some people still say slaps.
Okay. Say that.
This game is so much better
It's
than the first one. And
it's one of the best sequels to a game I've
I,
experienced.
The first game wasn't terrible. Like, it
No.
was pretty good.
No.
I loved the first game. I had some gripes with how Cal controlled sometimes, especially
Yeah.
during the moments when you're like sliding and having to time your jumps and stuff. The combat got kind of rote after a while, and I just cranked the difficulty all the way down because I was
Yep.
invested in the story.
That Dark Souls combat, it gets exhausting. Nobody wants to play
Sickos.
with that
Yes,
shit.
especially when it's executed not as well as what FromSoft delivers. But this one, I'm still playing on the Jedi Knight difficulty, which is the default. I think that like everything, the way Cal feels when he runs, when he jumps, when he's wall running, there's some other abilities that you get to make mobility a little bit more fun, and like it's reminded me of some of the cooler moments in Uncharted, and also strangely enough Celeste in some spots.
Yep, for sure.
With the way that you're having to time your jumps and stuff, because you start with a double jump and then
You get a dash,
another
right?
ability yes. And I just got the dash earlier, and then I got an item that lets me dash through force fields.
Yep.
And man, it's just
I'm
having a hard time even picking where to begin. Like, I think maybe we should start by addressing like this game came in real fucking hot, especially on PC.
It's one of the reasons I've not been able to play it as much as you. Like, it was the first time, like, when I say this, I literally mean it. Like, it was unplayable for me. I could not progress out of a save state, and I had gotten to that. So this is like the second planet you go to, and I was really starting to like fall for the game. Like, something like was clicking with me, and then I was struggling because it was still running like dog shit, but I was still able to run it. And I get there and it starts to seize up on like hard crash. I was
sending me pictures of the crash reports.
It was such a bummer, man, because like on PC, and I have a very, very capable machine to run that.
I mean, you're not in a unique position here. Like, this is
totally
sitting mostly negative on Steam.
It just got to mixed. It's at mixed finally.
Oh, okay.
We made it to mixed.
We made it to mixed.
But it's such a shame because the game part of it is so fucking good.
And it's not great on everything. It's the worst on PC though.
I was gonna say, I have had some screen tearing, which I don't know if I've ever seen on a console game before. Yeah. I've had a couple of. I was in a mission earlier when the scripting broke on a door that I was supposed to force pop out, and I had to reload my save. There's one time where I changed Cal's jacket, and instead of loading the jacket, it was just like his torso was empty space.
His dick popped out of his pants. That's what you're telling me?
Yeah.
Like Cyberpunk? And like Rocky City with Kim Basinger's tits.
We should play Rocky City.
No, we shouldn't.
Well, we might play some.
To play fucking Redfall.
Yes,
on
true.
Friday.
Never mind.
What the fuck?
I'm not paying money for that.
Never mind. That's true too.
Standards are a little different these days.
Guys, it's so good. It's set 5 years after the events of the first game.
Can I elaborate on why it's so good? Is that okay?
Yeah, go for it.
I think that what you've alluded to is very much on the money. The feel of it's changed up quite a bit, and I think some of the things in combat that stand out is how they've approached stances in this, and they've really given you some key indicators on this is more defensive, this is a fast kind of fury attack. I think the force abilities and the upgrade ability is a little bit easier to understand on like hey, this is the lane I want to go. They make it very clear. They also give you a free wipe and reset of your points the first time. So if you wanted to like, I didn't realize that there would be this stance in the game. Now I want to put my points into that. They give you a gimme to do that. The other piece of it, they've added in some really great traversal elements, even off foot, which they give you mounts and a fast travel. I think that the riding is still the strongest. Like, that was one of the strongest pieces of Fallen Order. So they've brought in that element to it, but now the gameplay and I think the elements in the world match up
It's
with the story in a
all
way that's much better.
gelling in a way that
Yeah.
the first game did not. Like it, I could see what they were going for, but it really feels like this is a team that like knew these are the things that we need to improve upon
Yeah.
on the next iteration of this, and I think that they absolutely nailed it.
And I do think the story beats as well from a Star Wars,
Mhm.
pure Star Wars standpoint.
Yeah, I don't think
We,
anything will top Andor for me this year,
yeah.
as far as Star Wars is concerned. But
They
I'm
haven't
really
they haven't made any Andor this year.
was that
Yeah.
not early this year?
No, Johnny, you were too busy watching
wow.
Arrested Development or something. That was last year.
Mandalorian was this year.
Yeah, you had Mandalorian this year.
I've only watched the first episode of that. I thought Andor was like
It's-
January or something. When did that come out?
I'll check. I could be wrong.
Okay. Anyway, sorry, Bobby. That's
No, Andor might be this year. Now you got me second guessing it.
It started in September of last year.
Then
I'm way
it didn't
off.
it didn't go to this year.
I'm way off. Time.
What
is a
what I
flat
would say is I agree with you, John. I think the point you're making is this is probably some of the best Star Wars post Disney next to Andor. Is that fair?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And just in terms of like, it feels like going from Mass Effect 1 to 2,
It does.
Assassin's Creed 1 to 2.
Yeah.
You know, it's one of those instances.
I'm sorry. You mean it got worse? Is that what you meant?
Case,
God.
please.
Titanfall
Effect
1 to
1.
2 is another one you can. I mean, keeping it with Respawn.
Yeah. And they bring that same, like they're really good at level design. Like there's been some.
Yeah.
There's some stuff I can't talk to you about right now because you haven't gone through it yet, I don't think. I was just like, my jaw dropped. I was like, this is so cool. Man, yeah, I'm obsessed with it.
Yeah, I did not have this high up on my radar. I thought Fallen Order was fine. We've talked about that. I did not think that this game would grip me, even with the problems it has. There's one patch out, and it has improved a few things, I think, for most folks. And the other piece of this is it's on PC. You can have somebody have an absolute stellar time with no issues at all. It's just very strange on the optimization of it. But we've got a quick look that I think does a great job. I'm really proud of what we put together with that one on going over all these new changes. And we're going to have that up. So if you're listening to this, go to our YouTube page. We've got a 35-minute quick look at this where we go over those systems. It's spoiler free. We don't dig into any of the story beats. And we even show you a few cool things from getting a new item like a mullet and maybe even a way to farm some XP. So there's some cool stuff on that for sure.
It's a game I plan to play sometime this year. I'm not in a rush to play it, and I think hearing about the technical issues that it has, I'm even less in a rush to play it. But I'm the resident Star Wars hater here, despite really loving Star Wars. Nobody believes me. But I mean, we talk about it in the cookbook, but one of the things that bothers me in Star Wars stories is they go to the well way too often. They dredge up the past. They find ways of just giving here's not even just an Easter egg. It is straight up here is some fan bait material. And I think Fallen Order, if I remember right, it's been a bit. I feel like it didn't have a lot of that. Sure, there's spoiler here, I guess, but there's a Darth Vader fight in there that kind of comes out of nowhere. I think it generally works for the story that they tell. It just is a surprise in the moment.
Yeah. I mean, you're dealing with the Inquisitors the whole time. Who work for Vader, and
I have heard there's a cameo in this. I don't think it's as big as Vader, but I think there is a cameo in this one. I think.
I mean, it would not surprise me, and I don't know anything, so this isn't a spoiler because I don't know. But there's been a lot of Mark Hamill in those commercials for the game. It would not shock me at all if Luke Skywalker showed up at some point.
He would be
a
child. Wouldn't he be under 10? He'd be at 10. Yeah.
That's
Mark Hamill can do it. De-age the man. De-age him.
I mean, you could. I probably wouldn't get actual Mark Hamill to voice that character.
I've seen Jeff Bridges and Tron. Let's
Yeah.
get him young.
Yeah, but you wouldn't have Jeff Bridges voice a 10-year-old
Sure
Jeff
you would.
Bridges now, would
Well,
you?
that's
It'd be
interesting.
It'd be like Baby Colin and what we
Yes,
do in the
that's
shadows.
better.
So the Joker is going to show up in Jedi Survivor.
Yeah. Chase, this it definitely feels like this is its own separate Star Wars story that is happening.
But it's certainly pulling from the universe, and that's stuff I'm okay with. Like there is a character that I saw our good friend Jiggy-san streaming, and I think they even show up in the quick look very briefly. But there's a character and it's like, hey, somebody took Cad Bane and Kit Fisto, is that the guy I'm thinking of?
Yeah.
And it's like, what if we put them both together and made them Australian? And I'm like, yeah, okay, whatever. That sounds fucking Star Wars. Well, go for it. And I guess it kind of works. That's fine. I like some of that stuff.
Oh my God! We have to protect Turgle at all costs. Turgle's the best.
Our sweet frog boy.
It's such a good game.
Oh, go ahead. I was going to move on, but if you guys
we can move on.
Star Wars
No, we're good.
Johnny, did you have any other games you want to talk about?
Nope. That's basically been it.
All right. Well, cool. I'm glad you guys are liking the Star Wars game. I mean, even despite the technical issues, and they like Bobby mentioned, they've already put out a patch. They're planning on more patches. That game, I imagine, will eventually run well.
Oh yeah.
And sometimes you can have a good game that just needs a little patching. Sometimes you can have a bad game that no matter how much you patch, it's going to be terrible. We might talk about that later.
Yeah.
Oh, I think we
also
will.
Advance Wars. I'm still playing Advance Wars.
Good.
Loving it.
Classic. At this point.
Yes.
All right. Well, Chase, should we talk about how we did in April?
Why don't we spin a wheel first, and then we can do all of our monthly stuff after that.
Let me get the wheel pulled up. Hold those horses.
You guys remember Crystal Light, the stuff you pour into water and mix it and make like lemonade?
Yeah.
So my son today came home with something that's like that, but it's Skittle flavored.
Okay.
So I'm drinking grape Skittle water right now.
Yeah.
Gross.
Sure.
Chase, can I spin?
Have I talked about it? Hang on. Have I talked about it on the podcast before? Like when I played baseball, I had this concoction that I enjoyed when I was pitching. It'd be like the thing I want to drink, which was an Arctic Blue Gatorade with sour Skittles poured into it, and then I would shake it up. Yeah, and it would be, it would make it look fucking gross, like the purplest grayest color you've ever seen.
Yeah.
But it tasted great, and I don't know if it was just the sugar and the electrolytes put together, or it was
electrolytes are sugar, Chase.
Whatever.
Oh my God.
It was my secret stuff to take from the Space Jam.
Wait.
But then people were like, "This looks terrible," and then you get to the bottom, and it would just be all these white Skittle pieces that have had all the flavor ripped off them.
I put Skittles in vodka once, and I fit the vodka.
Sure, absolutely.
That's normal.
Kids do some weird shit, man.
Yeah,
they definitely do. Yeah, it had to be sour Skittles though. It couldn't be any other Skittles because that wouldn't really do anything. Like the sour ones, they had like the crystals on the outside that would come off. I don't know.
Okay.
All right.
It was gross, but yeah. Let's spin a wheel.
Let's spin the wheel.
Also, like because I can't see because our stream keeps kind of
behind.
Going in and out. I don't think you'll have to tell me what actually got chosen. Oh, fuck me. No. Is it Subnautica?
No, it's Mutant Year Zero.
Oh, okay. I'm happy about that.
Yeah. Fuck yeah.
I wonder. Tactics month, baby.
If that's co-op, which I can't remember if it is, Chase, we should just make that a series.
Yeah, I could do that, or at least some of it. Yeah, Mutant Year Zero, the game I always forget the name of, but always say the game with the duck and the pig and whatever.
Make sure if you don't have, I can't remember where you got it, but make sure that it has the DLC.
I have the Switch version that has all of it.
Okay, cool.
Sweet. Yeah. Great. I have an excuse to play a game that I've always wanted to play. So.
God damn
awesome.
it. Yeah.
That'll be great.
That's very cool.
I also wanted something that wasn't going to be 60 hours, so that's beautiful.
Yes, absolutely. All right, let me get us
right.
back over to us chatting while we get ready to show off some trailers. But we got to talk about April, right?
Yeah. You got to talk about April. So while you're doing that, let me talk about April.
Yeah.
And let's see what we picked and see how those picks turned out. So I had, I assume I will end up playing Star Wars at some point, direct quote. And I still feel that way. I just said that. Advanced Wars 1 and 2 Reboot Camp. We just talked about that. Pretty happy with that. Tron Identity, which, like I said, I've bought but haven't played yet. And then Grim Grimoire once more, which I still think that looks really cool. They want some full fucking money for that game, and that is a PS1 port more or less with a slight coat of paint on it, and less of a coat of paint than Advanced Wars got. So I'm gonna wait for that to become cheaper, but I still think that game looks kind of cool. Yeah, that's way too much fucking money for that game. That's ridiculous. Bobby, you had Everspace 2, which you hated, right? You were not a big fan of Everspace 2. It. Yeah, you haven't played much of it either, so it's weird. No, you're very positive on that game, and I expect you to talk about it in December.
Will be.
You also had another game called Horizon, because you can't be stopped. Horizon Burning Shores.
Yep.
Yeah.
And
big
loved
fan.
it.
Did you finish that, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Nice.
It's very, very cool.
Minecraft Legends, which you didn't like that game, did you?
Didn't like the game, but did play the game. Did not like the game.
Okay, that's good. Advance Wars, which you Johnny said he's still playing. Are you in it, or are you kind of stalled out right now when you're playing Star Wars? And
I'm playing.
Stuff?
Yeah, I've been playing Cassette Beast when I'm on the go, but I plan on playing more Advance Wars. I really enjoy that game.
Cool. And then Star Wars Jedi Survivor, which we just talked about. Yeah. Johnny, you also had Jedi. You also had Minecraft Legends. You also don't like that game, right?
It's fine.
Okay. And then you had Advanced Wars and Everspace 2 as well, which
I like both of those games a whole lot.
Nice. Let's move on and talk about some free stuff that you can get in the month of May. On PlayStation Plus Essentials, you can get Grid Legends. Grid, made by the same studio that makes Dirt. It's a racing game. I hear there's like some pretty cool story mode in Grid Legends, and people like that one. So it has a PS4 and a PS5 version out there. That's one I'll probably try to check out sometime. Racing games on PlayStation are little hit and miss. I mean, you don't have an easy one to point to like Forza. I mean, there's Gran Turismo, but
they're so up there on ass.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah, big time.
Also, Chivalry 2 has a PS4 and a PS5 version. I put this note on here, this little comment, because I have to ask it every time because I'm just not in this world.
Not the racist one.
Is this the racist one? And no, that's more. No,
it's not.
Chivalry 2 is okay or less racist at the very least. So good on you, Chivalry 2.
Yes.
But that is the first person medieval large scale multiplayer.
Oh, you can play in third
stuff.
person too.
Oh, you can play in third? Okay. And then Descenders, a PS4 game, which is kind of like Trials except in 3D. Like you're mountain biking and you're going down hills and you're flipping and doing all sorts of cool stuff. There are some really cool YouTube compilations of people doing some of the sickest tricks that makes me want to play Descenders, even though I know I would be fucking garbage.
Where I got it. I got that game for free. It might have been on like Epic. It might have been somewhere. That there's a service that's giving that one out. I've got it. I haven't played it.
It seems really cool. I feel like I would be absolute dog shit at it, but I kind of want to try it anyway. On Xbox Series X and S, Star Wars Episode 1 Racer. I guess it's the remastered one that is going to be available from May 1st to May 31st. Jiggy was just playing this on stream before we started. He was playing the N64 version, which had
still great.
Game looks bad.
Yeah, it does.
That game looks bad. But yes, I think the remastered version, which is on lots of consoles, but will be free on the Xbox. That game, pretty good from what I hear. It also has Paulie Walnut's favorite game, Hoa. coming out May 16th to June 15th. Hoa, that's a side-scrolling puzzle platformer game. I played a little bit of it. I accidentally bought it. Bought a Chinese version of it when I was trying to get Super Robot Wars 30. I know I talked about that on a very long ago episode of the Casual Hour. That was very funny. But I think Hoa, pretty cool game. People should check that out. And then I'm going to throw it over to Bobby so he can tell us about some of the things that we can see on Game Pass this month.
Yeah, we'll run through them pretty quick here. We've got out today Redfall. We've got Ravenlock.
Put it back in.
Weird West Definitive Edition. Yet. I don't know if that's coming to PC, but that is hitting console. Shadowrun Trilogy. Fuga, correct? Fuga, Melodies of the Steel 2.
Mm-hmm.
Amnesia the Bunker, Planet of Lana, and Railway